Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Masjidwdm Muhammad's fourth Sunday Taleem. Today is Al Mizan Sunday, whereby we have a sister that presents. And that sister today is Sister Sandira Amin. Actually, Sister Haja Sandira Amin. And Sister Sandira is originally from Monroe, Louisiana. Sister Sandira has been a diligent contributor to the Houston Ummah for over 15 years as a weekend school coordinator, large event registration lead, and chef for many Masjid WDM events as well as community events. Those are just a few of the roles that she has assisted here in Houston, and we appreciate all of her efforts. She and her husband, Brother Mustafa, have just recently relocated back to Louisiana, and we wish them well. We wish them well, inshallah. So, without further ado, I present to you Haja Sandira Amin.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sister Latifa, for the introduction for Al Mizan Sunday. And if this is your first time watching on on the fourth Sunday of each month, Imam Wazir Ali here in Houston has provided an opportunity for the balance, as he has a sister from the Masjid WDM community lead the Sunday Ta'aleem, teaching on Quran and Sunnah from a female perspective, necessarily to a female audience, but to provide a balanced viewpoint. So please join us each fourth Sunday as a different sister from our community will be presenting here. So I wanted to start off the Taleem by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is a blessing to greet all of the believers joining us today on this last Sunday of Black History Month. As we know, Black History Month is a month in which Black Americans, African Americans, have been given permission to sort of remind, reflect upon, honor those of our lineage whom have achieved greatness. We presume in an effort to inspire us, the young and the old and in between, to greatness as well. But what we're going to talk about today is that most of those honored during this month that we honor, they didn't necessarily set out to be famous or mentioned each year in February, but most were simply responding to the call of their Lord or responding to the cries of their community. Others were just trying to help their loved ones find a better position in life, a better station in life. So I'm here to challenge you as the listener today that to the fact that you have a major contribution to be made in this world as well. Your unique qualities and skills can be utilized to improve the lives of others. Aiding humanity is a contribution to be made, which inshallah will help us reach the hereafter, which is what we say is our goal as believers. And we recognize that in this current day challenge, with our current social and economic hardships surrounding us, that it can seem daunting to just keep our own heads above water, not to mention helping out a community member or helping our community rise above, helping a fellow believer in a hard situation. But even our dear Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, felt the burden upon his back, which some scholars will say was to the point just before breaking, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned and spoke to him in Surah Sharh, Surah 94, which would be the focus of what we'll talk about today. It's best understood, though, if you read it with the preceding Surah 93, Surah Ad-Duha, which represents hope. So Surah Shah is one of the few surahs, as I mentioned earlier, where Allah is speaking directly to the Prophet. And I'm using the Clear Quran translation, and which reads, "Have we not uplifted your heart, O Prophet, relieved you of the burden, which weighed so heavily on your back? So surely with hardship comes ease. Surely with that hardship comes more ease. So once you have fulfilled your duty, strive in devotion, turning to your Lord alone with hope." So you may hear this surah referred to as Surah Ashar, the relief, and as Surah Al-Inshira, the opening. My reference is English Tafsir today, EnglishTafsir.com, if you want to use that as a reference, as well as Saeed Maududi's tafsir, in which the goal in the surah was to console our dear Prophet during the early years of his prophethood, not long after he had begun to preach the message of Allah. His friends, relatives, and clansmen who once represented and who once respected him had begun to abuse, mock, chastise him, and attack him. Ustada Numan Ali Khan likened the burden of this treatment upon the Prophet to sitting a heavy load or sitting down on a wooden table, and you hear the wood start to crack or creak, knowing that it could be breaking soon. It was a heavy load that the table or the structure may not be able to hold. So hearing the wood creak, you're probably going to remove yourself. And so most of us will either remove the object or will rise up in anticipation of the breaking. So he likened this burden that the Prophet felt about his treatment to that. So the burden was so heavy, our dear Prophet felt that he was near his breaking point. So Allah revealed this verse during that time. The first surah, Al-Duha, to console him, and then the verses of Sharh to remind him that he had expanded his chest through these tests, because the road ahead was going to be long and arduous one. It's going to be tough. His capacity had to be increased. His capacity for this treatment had to be increased. His sensitivity had to be increased in order to continue on with the mission. But it also assured him, Allah also assured him that with every difficulty, close behind it would be followed with relief. Allah ends by saying that he would only have this ability to withstand these tests by turning himself back to Allah, to withstand these burdens by doing one thing, devoting himself to worship. So how do we as individuals use this surah to assist us in our daily lives? Have we not uplifted your heart? Have we not relieved you of your burden which weighed so heavily on your back? Allah is speaking directly to the Prophet again, asking him to reflect upon what troubled him in the past. And we know he represents the best of us, but he also needed to be reminded of the glory of Allah. But so we should reflect daily upon the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for us. From awakening us in the morning to provide a roof over our heads, food on our tables, things that you may think is small, those are blessings that we have received on the daily basis that we should be thanking Allah for and reminding ourselves of those. Allah goes on to say, and elevate your renown for you, meaning that he raised in high regard the believing people and those the believing people, where every believer during Salat honors the Prophet. We ask Allah to bless the Prophet. Every believer performs salawat for the Prophet during each Salat. So this was being raised in high regard, high renown. So for us, we should reflect upon times when you felt there was no way out, there was no relief coming. Did it remain that way forever? For most of us will say, yes, I remember a dark time, and there was relief that followed the dark time. So surely with hardship comes ease. Allah repeats this here. Surely with hardship comes ease. Just as the feeling of a harsh chamber with blood biology major. So you feel the harsh chamber fills with blood through constriction, and then it's released. And the constriction happens immediately after. The release happens immediately after the constriction. It closely follows one after the other. Your blood will not flow without constriction and relief. It has to be one followed by the other, and it brings the life oxygen giving blood to the rest of our bodies. So Allah has assured us that with one comes the other. One scholar likened it to the burden similar to a woman giving birth, and expecting the baby with excitement. And although she knows the labor would be long and hard, she's still excited, and it will be excruciating. But the reward in the end is overflowing. You cannot have the birth without the difficulty. You can't have stress without relief. You can't have loss without gain. You can't have struggle. After struggle comes reward. But as we experience the stress, the struggle, the pain, the grief, we should not lose our focus on striving in the way of Allah. We should know, like we know, that the relief is there already, just around the corner, with surety. You need to know this with surety. Look forward to the relief versus staying focused on the difficulty. Sometimes we can get caught focusing so long at the difficulty or the difficult circumstance that we completely miss the relief. We lose sight of the relief that it's come, it's gone already, and we missed it because we were still focused on whatever that dark period was or whatever the difficulty was, the loss that we've just experienced. So here again, Allah reminds us, so when you have fulfilled your duties, strive in devotion by turning to your Lord with hope. So during your hardest times, darkest times, turn to your Lord with hope. Keep working, keep striving in the cause of Allah, and He has guaranteed us that the relief comes with the struggle. Some scholars even argue that the repeating of those two ayat, uh, فَإِنَّ مَعَنَا عُسْرًا يُسْرًا, that repeating of those signifies that with every difficulty there's actually two sets of relief that will follow. Worth mentioning is that some of our struggles are of our own making. Last month, Sister Hadia Al-Uqta, during the fourth Sunday, Al-Mizan Sunday, she was speaking on Prophet Yunus, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and the belly of the whale, and that how his repentance for his disobedience was heard by Allah and he was relieved of his dark space. But some struggles are sent to us simply as tests or an exercise in expanding us and building us up, expanding our chest, expanding our capacity for something greater that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has planned for us. I was reading through some transcripts of Imam W.D. Muhammad, and he was referring to some of the early days of the Nation of Islam where his father and other members of the nation were being arrested. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was arrested the first time for contributing to the delinquency of a minor because he pulled his children out of school so that they could be homeschooled, and the second time was for draft evasion. And those trials during those early days of African American Muslims they had been already been subjected to inhumane treatment just as being African Americans here in America during that time period, during the Jim Crow era, especially down south. And they had already been dejected, but they pressed on even with the difficulties, being arrested for merely just being members of the nation. They pressed on, and leading to our current day practice of al-Islam here in America today. So those hardships taught our community that we as African Americans were not the narrative that had been fed to us for centuries, but that we were children of God and with unmatched potential and contributions to be made to the greater society. Our capacity as a community was increased. Even have a personal story. About 15 years ago, I was raising two girls on my own as a mom, and I was told my job was going away, and there was no more place for me left in the organization I dedicated 12 years to. I just finished grad school. I just finished my master's degree, and was facing the debt of that, the debt of paying back my grad school loans, as well as continuing to support my two teenage daughters. I was actually a dialysis patient at the time as well. But I was still volunteering on the weekends at the masjidwdm weekend school, which was a 45-minute drive away from me. But I was driven to contribute in that way and also allow my girls to get at least one day during the week where they had, Muslim companionship, the Muslim youth around them since they were in public school. But so I turned to Allah, and I felt helpless. I felt like, okay, Allah, I'm working as hard as I can. I'm striving. I don't know how I need to provide for my children, but I just said, oh Allah, I don't know what's best for me. Only you do. So please provide me with the means and opportunity to continue taking care of my children and my responsibilities. And then that moment, I let it go. And once you have asked Allah, He will lift the burden and provide you with the release. So I went on about working at the masjid while looking for a new job. And it was a couple of weeks later, I was due to leave the company in a few weeks. I ran into an old manager whom I had interviewed while I was in graduate school. And he asked me, Sandira, how are you? How are things going? How are things? And I explained to him, I said, well, things are okay, but, I've been told I have a couple of weeks left here uh, to work here, and I have, finished my degree and everything. And he says, no, you have a job. You're going to come work for me. And 15 years later, I was making twice what I was making before in the previous role. and Allah provided the relief for me. Um, and so that was just the personal story, just to let you know that when you work towards the good, Allah will provide for you. He has promised us that with the difficulty comes relief. The work you must do, the work we must do, is in setting our plans in motion, setting goals, envisioning life, the life you desire. And in that includes your service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Use a vision board. If you need assistance in seeing through the darkness, write down small actionable things that you can do in the meantime while waiting for the your chamber to refill with the blood and the constriction to end. And know that the relief is coming, and be ready. Be ready for the relief. Get new skills. You have new skills that you've learned. Clicking that apply now button. Moving to a new state. And then once Allah has fulfilled His promise to you, once the relief has come, He's expanded your chest. You're now and has allowed you to grow in your iman and your faith and increase your capacity. Turn all of your attention back to Him in longing and in prayer and remembrance. Turn to your Lord with hope. Exhaust yourself with working in the community, volunteering to assist with Eid celebrations. This serves as a refueling to build you back up after the hardship, because after you've been through some hardships, you could be drained. These activities will help build you back up. Check on the elderly in your community. Be sure, this we know, more hardship is coming. More hardship will come. With difficulty comes relief. More hardship will come, and Allah has told us that the remedy to this, to withstand the hardship, is to turn in devotion to Him. So, but now you've already started turning your spirit to Allah, right? He's expanded your chest. You have goals, you have aspirations, you have things you're working towards. So you might slow down, but you're never going to stop. Never stop moving forward, since you know that the blood will continue to course through your veins through this process. Constriction and relief. Constriction and relief, as Allah has promised. Our predecessors, our pioneering African American Muslims, our ancestors, and those who we admire didn't set out in life to be discussed during the second month of each year, but they strove to make a better life for themselves and their families and their communities, despite the hardships and the difficulties that they endured. What a blessing it is that we are here today as a result of their hard work and their determination and them not giving up. With the aid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we each can recognize this potential in ourselves, recognizing the growth that we sustain through our hardships and our difficulties, acknowledging Allah and all of the blessings which we have received daily. We can contribute to the advancement of our future and our community. Inshallah, you have found something useful in this presentation, and anything I have said that you gained from it, you gained something from it, was by the mercy of Allah only. Anything that I have stated in error is of my own doing, and may Allah bless and keep you and allow you to weather the constriction to reach the relief. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Haja Sandira Amin. We want to thank you again for your presentation. And, in the introduction, I listed a few of your contributions to the Houston Ummah, but by no means are they the only contributions. So again, may Allah continue to bless you with your transition and relocation back to Louisiana, and know that we appreciate you. And again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for all of your efforts. Well, this concludes our Al Mizan presentation for this fourth Sunday. We invite you to join us next Friday for our Jummah prayer at 1:30 p.m. And again, the following Sunday for our Taleem. So please stay tuned for a few community announcements. So today, the Cavalcade for Ministry for Peace is happening today at 5:30 p.m. at the First Shiloh the First Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church. That's in Fifth Ward, at 4420 Lyons Avenue. This is a multi-faith, anti-violence event, and our co-host will be the Reverend Eric Wright, along with Imam Qasim Ibn Ali Khan of Masjid Al-Tawheed. We also have guest speakers, our very own Imam Dr. Wazir Ali, Imam Jihad Muhammad, also speaking. So this is a joint community effort. We invite you to attend. Again, it's 5:30. Families and face masks are welcome. And these are our additional community announcements. Our virtual cookbah is held every Friday at 1:30 p.m., live streamed on our Facebook and YouTube pages at Masjid WDM and on Facebook at MCC Masjid Al Quran. Masjid WDM in-person Jummah is available at 1:30 p.m. with Salat at 2 p.m. So that's virtual and in person. If you attend in person, we ask that you follow the mandatory guidelines. Masjid Wdm Muhammad is making it easier to donate to help the community keep growing and working in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're asking 100 believers to commit to donating just $50 per month. You can snap the QR code to get started, and we thank you for your support. In-person Jummah is also available at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al Quran. The in-person Jummah is available at 12:30 and 1:30, but our virtual is only available at 12:30. Mercy Community Center invites you to be a part of the Merciful 313. Please snap the QR code shown on your screen to get your $30 recurring donation started, inshallah. And once again, our Taleem public address is held every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Our first Sunday is Office of the Imams. Our second is our Pioneer. Our third is Youth and Young Adult. And our fourth, which was today, Al-Mizan, with a sister. Your zakat and donations are always graciously needed and appreciated. Ways to donate, you may visit our website, www.masjidwdmuhammad.com. We can go to Zelle, PayPal, or cashApp at $masjidwdm. Your donations and zakat are also needed at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al Quran, and you may donate by going to www.mercycc.org/donation. Muslima Nights, this event is for Muslim sisters only. To join, you may send a link to muslimanights@gmail.com. Currently, the ages of 13 to 18 are meeting every second and fourth Sunday. The 18 to 30 is on hiatus right now. Our new Muslim orientation class occurs every Sunday at 3 p.m. with Imam Elijah Salahuddin. To join or become a part of this, you may email him at elijah@masjidwdmuhammad.com. A Sisters Halaqa is held every second and fourth Saturday from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. This is a women and sisters only event. And to gain access, email salimacogbill@gmail.com. And our fundraising donor wall does continue for the Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center. To gain additional information and to make your donation, please go to tinyurl.com/MWDM donor wall. This concludes our community announcements. Again, we thank everyone for joining us each and every week. We pray that Allah continues to keep us all safe and continue to shower his mercy and blessings on us. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.